Hello and welcome back to Ms. Dougherty's classroom. This is going to be the second of a three-part series about multi-digit multiplication. This will be multi-digit by one-digit numbers. So in my last video, I discussed how to use area model methods to do multiplication when you have a two-digit by one-digit multiplication problem and a three-digit by one-digit multiplication problem. In this video, I will be demonstrating how to use what we call the partial product method. I'm also going to do a third video that explains the method that I learned growing up, and some of you may have learned growing up, which I now refer to as the old school regrouping and carrying over method. I will also explain in that video a little bit about each method and why with a lot of the new math curriculums, we are using first the area model method and the partial products method to teach multi-digit multiplication to students. As I stated before in my last video, I personally am a big advocate for this new approach to multiplication. It can be more time consuming, but I feel that it's like building a house. The area model method is our foundation. The partial product method is like our walls, and you can think of the final version as the roof. Okay, we have to have the foundation for everything before we build upon it. I also want to give a fair warning that both my cats are currently wandering around my apartment. At least one of them tends to get into mischief, so she may be making a cameo in this video. I will post a link to my previous video below on area model method. And once I've made my third video, I will post a link to that below as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So the partial product method for multiplication is based upon an understanding of place value, just like the area model method. However, in this method, we will not be drawing area models. I teach this method after my students have learned the area model method. It builds upon the knowledge that they gain from that method first. So let's start off with two-digit by one-digit problem. Let's do 38 times 9. So here is my problem. And here's how I'm going to solve it using the partial product method. You start in your ones place with the bigger number. You think to yourself, 8 times 9 is 72. Now I move over to my tens place. Because I'm going to be multiplying in my tens place, I put my 0 in the ones place. I always teach my students to do this first, just in case these two numbers that they're multiplying here do have an answer that ends at a 0 so they don't get confused. So make sure you tell your child or student, put your 0 first because you're multiplying by a multiple of 10 because you're using the tens place. So put your 0 first, then solve the multiplication problem. 3 times 9, 27. But it's 270 because it's 30, which is a multiple of 10. And then you just add straight down. This is why in the math curriculum that I use at my school, it's why we start off with place value. This is why we move into multi-digit addition and subtraction, and then we move in to multi-digit multiplication. Everything builds upon the previous chapter. So let's do this again. Okay, this time I'm going to do 97 times 5. So here is my multiplication problem that I'm going to solve using partial products. Once again, I'm going to start my ones place. 7 times 5 is 35. I'm going to put that right here. Now I'm going to move into my tens place. There was a 9 in my tens place. It's not a very dark 9, so let's do that again. I'm going to put a 0 in my ones place since I'm doing a multiple of 10. 9 times 5 is 45. Now, part of the reason I tell them to put their 0 first is sometimes I'll have students put 45 down here instead of 450. So if you're working with your teacher or a parent, you're trying to use this method, make sure you emphasize that your 0 first when you move into the tens place, okay? Then you just add straight down to get 485. You know, I'm going to do one more of this method, then I'm going to move in the 3-digit by 1-digit numbers. So let's do 82 times 7. Love me some good 7 multiplication facts. So there is my multiplication problem. Once again, I'm going to start my ones place. I have a 2 up here in the ones place, so I'm going to do 2 times 7. That gets me 14. Now I move over to my tens place. I put my 0 first because I'm multiplying by a multiple of 10. Do your 0 first. Okay? 8 times 7 is 56. Put a 5 here and a 6 here. And then I'm going to add straight down to get 574. So you're just doing one place value at a time, and then you're adding straight down. It's similar to area model method. We're just not drawing the rectangle, and in this method, we have to do it in a certain order. Whereas with the area model method, we can kind of pick which order we want to do it in. So now I'm going to do 3 multiplication problems, doing 3-digit by 1-digit numbers using the partial product method. So let's start off with 512 times 7. Once again, I'm going to start my ones place. 2 times 7 is 14. Now moving over to my tens place, which will be really easy because there's a 1 there. I'm still going to put my 0 in my ones place first, just as a reminder. Because 10 times 7 is 70, not 7. So you put your 0 first. Now moving into my hundreds place. I'm going to put a 0 in my ones place and my tens place to remind me that I am doing a multiple of 100. And all I have to do is think 7 times 5 is 35. And you add straight down. Let's do another problem that's 3-digit by 1-digit number using the partial product method. So this time I'm going to do 654 times 8. So I have my problem set up. I'm going to start my ones place again. 32. Moving to my tens place. I'm going to put a 0 here in my ones place, and this is very important that we're doing the 0 first, because 5 times 8 is 40. So we want to think that, because it's in the tens place, it's 50. 50 times 8 is 400. Otherwise, you could have messed up and put a 40 there instead of 400. Now I'm moving to my hundreds place. I'm going to put 2 zeros here, so I'm doing a multiple of 100. Then all I got to do is think 6 times 8 is 48. Another thing I do let students know when we're learning this method is before you add, this is how you make sure, this is how you know, hi Liza, this is how you know that you've done all the steps you need to do before you add. How many digits are there up here? There's 3, and I have 3 partial products, and I have a cat who's trying to get onto my keyboard. Now I can add. Get 5,232. Now let's do one more 3-digit by 1-digit number. 3-digit number by a 1-digit number, multiplying using the partial product method. Let's do 987. I think my marker's dying. by 6. First, you start in your ones place. So you're going to do 7 times 6, which is 42. Now I'm moving over to my tens place. I'm going to put my 0 in my ones place first. And 8 times 6 is 48. So that gets me 480. I apologize. My marker is kind of dying, so I'm going over the numbers to make them a little darker. Now I'm moving to my 9 that's in my hundreds place. I'm going to put my 2 zeros here because I'm doing a multiple of 100. And my cat is trying to close my laptop right now, so please excuse me. Okay, 9 times 6 is 54. This is also why I emphasize to so many parents that your child needs to know their multiplication facts inside out, backwards, upside down, frontwards, crisscross, applesauce. Okay, now you add straight down. You get 5,922. So again, this method is a little faster than the area model method, but we start the area model method to basically lay that foundation so the students can grasp the concept of place of multiplying using the properties they learned in place value. Then we move into this method. In my next video, I'll be going over the old school method, or the regroup carryover method a lot of us learned. I will be explaining why I'm a very big advocate for, at least at the fourth grade level, starting with the area model method, moving into the partial product method before even discussing the old method. I actually have had students, when they see me teach that, they like look at me like the shocked Pikachu face. And I don't blame them. And I'm going to get more into that in my third and final video on this series. Once again, I hope this video was useful to you. Please give me a like. I forgot in my last video, I mentioned leaving a comment. I forgot because I'm marking this as safe for kids that you cannot leave comments. But if you are one of my parents, you can always email me um, any questions or concerns that you have. And again, I hope you found this video useful and helpful. And I will be doing a video on the old school method and comparing the three and getting a little more detail about why I'm a big advocate for the area model and partial product method in that order. Okay, thank you. Bye.